Welcome to Go Get Great, the podcast for aspiring entrepreneurs and ambitious small business owners. I'm your host, Brittany, owner of Brittany Miller Socials and mother of 3. Go Get Great is all about helping you make life and business work together. You'll learn about the fumbles that helped get me and my guests to where we are today so you don't have to make them. So come join the journey with Go Get Great. Good morning and welcome back to another episode of the Go Get Great podcast. Today, I decided that I would do kind of a behind the scenes look at what my recent course launch for Profile to Profit, 6 Steps to an Instagram Profile That Converts, actually looks like. So this was technically the second time that I've launched a course, but this is the first time that I've actually done a full launch. And I'll share what a full launch actually entails later. But this process was basically completely new to me because it was drastically different than what I did last time. And I think I'll do probably a full episode another day actually that talks about kind of my first launch and what I learned from that process versus what I learned from my second launch this time. But today what I kind of wanted to go over was the launch debrief questions that I'm asking myself. So you guys know that my word for this year is action. Usually it's messy action. And I've been learning to do a lot more of that. But within that action, I really want to get serious about learning about my business. And it kind of sounds weird, I'm sure. You're like, Brittany, of course you should be learning about your business. You should know everything about your business, which is true. We should know everything about our business. We are the ones running it. But there are so many things that I found that I didn't pay attention to in my first few years in business that I really want to nail down this year. So things like how long it takes me to deliver a service, what marketing efforts are actually generating the best results for me, what kind of clients are the best to work with in terms of my passion and skill set, what are the actual profit margins on my services, which comes back to how long does it take me to actually deliver a service from start to finish for a client. And I have a lot of services, so I have to do this process quite a few times. So those are some of the things that I'm working on this year. And that part of that getting serious is really doing an actual debrief process after I do new and different things, like the course that I just launched. So I did a bunch of research, actually. Seems weird to say that I researched how to debrief a course launch. You'd think it'd be kind of intuitive. And to some respects it was, but there were a lot of things that I found looking at other blog posts and kind of talking to some other course creators about questions that they have asked after a course launch that have really been helpful and eye-opening in the debrief process to help them figure out what works well, what doesn't, what they need to change going forward, or what they can do differently to get better results. So I'm going to share the questions that I ask myself in this process and also the outcome of my course. Excuse me. So when I say the outcome of my course, I will actually tell you how much it cost me to run this course versus how much profit I made. I have no problem sharing all of that with you guys. I actually really enjoy when other business owners are that transparent about how things are, because one of my biggest pet peeves on social media is that you really never know how well people are doing. And I want to be honest about the results that my business is bringing in. Not that this really bothered me, but I thought I would share this in the beginning. But I did have one negative comment during my course launch process. I had people unsubscribe from my email list, totally normal, probably because they didn't like what I was selling or didn't feel it was aligned. But one person actually took the time to respond to my email, and their response was, I don't want to receive these emails. I don't want to line your wallet. Please stop emailing me. It's like, oh, okay. And like I said, I just kind of let it roll off me. This course wasn't going to be a good fit for everyone, and I knew that going into it. But I was surprised that someone was annoyed enough to actually respond to the email instead of just deleting it or unsubscribing. Like I intentionally put unsubscribe features in all of the emails that I sent about my course. So not only do you legally have to have an unsubscribe option in every email you send, but I put a specific one in for the course. So you guys can look for this next time that I do a course launch, because I will launch more courses again in the future. I'll do Profile to Profit again. I'm already working on an email marketing course. I'm crazy like that. But there was a specific section at the bottom that's like, if this isn't for you and you don't want to receive these emails, please like click here and then you won't get them anymore. I was like, okay, this is great. This is the best way that I can to not bombard the people that aren't interested while still communicating with the people that are. So I plan to do that in all of the emails that I have for launches, because I know it can be overwhelming. Standard launch email sequences are usually like 7 emails in 5 days. So I know that that can be a lot for some people. I get that in my own inbox when the people that I follow do launches too. So it was just like, okay, I'm sorry that you felt compelled enough and annoyed enough by my emails to respond. But also you could have unsubscribed. But like bottom line, this course did not line my wallet like at all. So we'll get to that in a minute. But to kind of back up, before I started my course, obviously I set goals about what it was that I wanted to achieve with this. Now, my goals were very ambitious. I did not hit them. So my original goal was to make $10,000 from my course sale. Probably listened to Amy Porterfield talk about her successful students a little too much, but that was where I got the idea. I was like, I'm going to have for 5-figure, I had to count that out. I'm going to have a 5-figure course launch. Like that would be so awesome. I'm going to make 10 grand. This is going to be absolutely amazing. Overly ambitious. To hit $10,000 at the price that I priced my course at, which was $197 for those of you guys that know, with a $255 VIP upsell, I would have needed like 25 to 30 students in the course. 30 if I didn't sell any VIPs, 25 if I sold a couple of those. So I pretty much ditched that goal right at the beginning once I started learning about the conversion rates for courses. So this is something that's really worth paying attention to. Sorry. This is something that's really worth paying attention to if you're interested in doing live launches, whether it's for a course or a new product or service or whatever it is that you have going on in your business. You can technically do a live launch for anything. Now, a live launch is basically like you have some sort of masterclass, webinar, event, challenge that you're using as kind of a dipping your toe in the water sort of situation for people to come and see, to learn who you are, get some like really quick insights, tips, and tricks to have some sort of small success. And then afterwards, you're like, okay, well, if you love that, here's how we can do more with this. In my case, it was a course. So I did a live launch for Profile to Profit. A lot of you showed up or signed up for the replay of Grow Your Following Faster. And I thank you guys so much for it. Even if you didn't purchase, it was just so nice to feel supported, that all of you guys were interested in what I was talking about. And I got some fabulous feedback from it, which is also good to know that there was value not only in the free masterclass, but also in the course, which my students are currently working through right now. So the conversion numbers for a live launch. So typically they convert at however many people register, 30% of those people will show up live. I was like, wow, that is a huge drop off. But it also makes sense because that other 70% probably knew in the beginning, maybe 50% knew in the beginning that they weren't going to make the time and they were signing up for the replay. And probably another 20% planned on attending the live and then something came up and they couldn't make it. So 30% actually show up live, 30% of 100% of your registrations. And of the 30% that show up live, you can typically expect a registration of 5 to 15%, depending on your conversion rate. Also depends on how well you can articulate the value of what it is that you're selling. And also the price point is usually a big one. Like you could have a live launch and at the end of the live launch, your free thing, you're selling like a $5,000 VIP coaching package. Well, you're probably going to have a much lower conversion rate. You might be looking at 1 or 2% because it is so much higher. My $197 course is on the high end for some people, but it's also kind of like low to mid ticket for others. So it really depends on who's in your audience and kind of what price range they're expecting. So my coaches suggested that I try and benchmark and aim for a 5% conversion rate because it was the first time that I was doing this. This was a totally new offer for my audience. So I was like, okay, all right, I can work with that. Let's run some numbers. So I did. And if I wanted to get 30 people registered for my course, it would have meant that I needed to get 700 people registered for the live masterclass. Considering that I started this process with an email list size of 250 people, I pretty much knew from the beginning, which is why I eventually lowered my goal, that I wasn't going to get 700 people. That would have been 100% of my email list. And then I somehow magically needed to triple my email list in the span of 4 to 6 weeks. I am ambitious and I will set high benchmarks, but even I'm not that delusional. So after realizing that, I decided to scale back and I thought I would try for a 5K launch, so 15 people. So even that was pretty ambitious. I still would have needed 300 people to register for my webinar. And you guys have if you've been following me on socials, you know that I had 120 people actually register for the masterclass. I did a social media post talking about where those 120 people came from. So I didn't hit my registration target. I did not get 15 people registered for the course, and that's okay. So my actual registration numbers were 8 people. So 120 showed up. 120 registered. Approximately 35 people showed up. It was kind of hard to tell because I was presenting, so I don't have an exact number on that. So the conversion rate to my course was about 6.67%, which is actually really good. We exceeded my 5% benchmark target by almost 1.5, almost 2%. So in that sense, my course was a success. It was proof of concept. The masterclass worked. People saw the value. It was just a case of my audience size was not large enough for me to hit my registration targets. So something good to know. That's why I'll be launching the course again in the future as I continue to grow my audience and all of those wonderful things. So those were some of the things that I looked at first. What goals did I set? Were those realistic expectations? And then what were the actual results of those? I also looked at some metrics for things like my email list growth. So like I said, I started with approximately 200 and I actually started with 290 contacts on my email list. Now that's total. That also includes some of the people that have unsubscribed from my list. So I wasn't actually emailing 290 active people. So in this span of January to the end of February when I launched my course, so about 6 weeks, my marketing strategy resulted in 250 people being added to my list. So it basically doubled it, meaning that I ended my course process with 540 people. Of those, 373 of them are still considered active subscribers. So of the 250 people that I added, 46 of them unsubscribed. So I'm not really sure what kind of unsubscribe rates are standard for things like that. I know oftentimes I'll sign up for freebies and then I'll unsubscribe after because I just wanted the free resource. I had no interest in working with the person. So that's common. I've just never seen any statistics that share what percent is standard and then what, if your percentage is higher, what you can do to kind of reduce that. So that's something that I want to start keeping track of so that I know in my business. So I'm going to chart that number throughout the next few launches so I can see if there's kind of like a common unsubscribe rate factor after the masterclass and course launch. But overall, that resulted in a net growth of 204 people for my email list. So I'm happy with those numbers. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Like I said, that pretty much doubled my email list in the span of 6 weeks. So I would love to continue replicating those results throughout the rest of the year. And if I could add another 200 people to my email list basically every quarter, then by the end of the year, I'll have another 600 people on my email list. plus the 500 or so that I have now. That'll put me a little over 1,000. That would be peachy. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll do a wrap-up episode in December and let you know what happens with that. So the next thing that I wanted to look at, and I so wish that I had found this before I started working on all my course prep, so I could have actually charted how many hours I put into this course so we could get like a cost of labor number for it. But unfortunately, I just discovered this in the last like week or so, but I've started using it and I'm already addicted and slightly concerned. But it's, I think they have an app, but I use it on the website. It's called Toggle, Toggle. Now I'm questioning the spelling of it. I will link it in the show notes for you because I probably just spelt it wrong. I somehow don't think there's an E. I think it's just Toggle. But basically what it is like a time tracker. So you can like literally just turn it on, like you just press play and it'll start recording the time. Then you go in and turn it off when you're done that kind of activity. And then you say what activity you are doing. And you can categorize it by project. You can add specific tags to it. You can associate it with a client if you wanted to track your like income versus like our expenses. You could probably have a team do this. Obviously I'm a team of one. Grayson helps, but like I don't track his time. I should. I should figure out how much I should be paying him for all of the in-kind labor he has contributed to this course. But like for now, I'm just trying to see where I'm spending my time and also how much time I am actually dedicating to my business each week and to specific projects. Like ideally, I want to make sure that 25 to 30% of my time is done in like strategy and needle moving activities so that my business is always growing. Another 20 to 30% is like client work. And then obviously that's like 60%. So maybe some adjustments to those numbers, but there's always going to be like admin tasks and things that just have to happen. And since I'm the only one in my business, I have to do them. But like so far this week, I can see that I've worked 27 hours. So I am kind of working full time in my business, which is interesting to see because some days I would say that I'm working 80-hour work weeks. And some days I say that I'm working 10-hour work weeks because it feels like life is crazy and I never get to actually do anything. So this is my way of tracking that. Anyway, back on topic. I don't know how much time I actually invested into this course, but I do know what the like collateral is of the course now. So I thought I would share about that. So it's kind of 3 pieces. So there's like the freebie piece for your course, because you usually have a freebie that gets people interested in the topic and on your email list. And then you usually have your live launch. So that was my masterclass. And then there's the actual course itself. So there's a lot that goes into a full-blown course launch, which was, like I said, what was new to me this time. Did not know that there were so many steps. And then within each of those 3 things, you have to do a lot of basically the same activities, but very time-consuming activities, at least when you're me, and copywriting and website design, not my strong suit. So for the actual course itself, there was 1.5 hours of actual course content and another 30 minutes of tech tutorials. So 25 videos in total were written out, scripted, were recorded, and then edited. The editing was mostly done by Grayson, but I still had to sit there and be like, no, we're cutting this out. We need to add this picture. Probably didn't need to be super intensive that way and add actual visuals on the videos, but it did, because if I'm going to do something, you know me, I'm a perfectionist. I'm going to do it at 100%, and there is no negotiation about that. And there should be. I'm trying to ditch perfectionism. But anyway, we went all out for this. It was like kind of my mentality, I guess, was, aside from the fact that I'm a recovering perfectionist, is to truly know and get good feedback from the course. It's got to be a good course. And to me, part of that is making it easy to understand. And I am a visual learner. So I need to see the things on the screen that we're talking about while we're talking about them. But the editing process was not fun. So 2 hours of video content that had to be recorded and edited. And it took me a long time to write the scripts too and get all of the information out in a cohesive manner. So it didn't include any of the planning in here, but there was a lot of that too. Sticky notes galore. I need to buy a sticky note factory. I also had to set up the course platform. I had to find and choose a course platform because I've never used a course platform before. The last time I ran a course, I did like live Zoom videos more or less, and I shared them in a Facebook group and sent the link out in email. It was very, I'm not going to say janky because I know a lot of people do that, but it was very low key compared to the production quality of this one. So it was uploading videos and writing video descriptions, and I also did transcripts for all of the videos. I created like title cards for them so that they were all labeled and looked cohesive. Like I said, maybe went a little overboard, but it looks nice. And hopefully the content's solid and it won't need too many adjustments before I relaunch it again. So I set up the course platform. There were 30 emails that were sent just about my course in the masterclass. Sorry, that was the course in the masterclass. And then there were another 7 emails for the freebie. So in total, there were 37 emails for this 3-part project. There was 7 social media posts for my course, and then 9 for the masterclass. So math is not good, but that's 16. Surprisingly less. There was not actually as much social media content about it as I was expecting there to be. I think I didn't start marketing it all soon enough. Like I should have been talking about the freebie more in advance while the freebie was live. There's only so much that you can talk about for so long about a live masterclass. It has a definitive start and end date. And the same with the course. Like you can really only create so many social media posts while the course cart is open. And my course cart was only open for 7 days, so I did 7 posts. Ironically, social media managers don't have a lot of social media work for that. Go figure. And then I also did a story series for Instagram, and then I was trying to be live in my stories every day, sharing about interesting things about the course, answering questions that came up. So there was some of that. There was also obviously one live masterclass that was scripted, slides created there were 12 emails for that. So I guess I did not include those. So 30, 42, 47, so 49 emails in total. The email writing alone, my goodness, guys, the email writing alone took forever. And 9 social media posts. We already talked about that. I also created one freebie. That was my Instagram bios that convert checklist. There were 8 paid ads, like collateral created for those, 4 for the course and 4 for the masterclass. So I did not personally create those. And I'll talk about that because it comes into the budgeting, but I hired a company to help me with Facebook ads because I've never done it before. And I don't want to mess around with my money in that sense of the trial and error. So I was like, okay, this is not my area of expertise, but I've heard really good things about Facebook advertising. So let's try it out, but we're going to get professional help to do it. So they created the copy and creative for that and taught me a little bit about how to navigate Facebook advertising, which was kind of a cool process to learn. Not something that I'm going to be offering as a service anytime soon. There's a lot that goes into that. Story for another day. And then in total, there were 13 web pages that had to be built. 2 for the masterclass, 8 for my course, and then 3 for the freebie. So part of that, like you should not have to build 8 website pages for your course, which is one of the things that I will come back to later, but it was because I embedded the payment processing system onto different website pages. And I also had like waitlist pages that I had to create for my course. So when I'm doing this the next time, excuse me, for my email marketing course, I'm hoping to streamline and condense that. I don't want to be making 13 web pages. Also, I found out the other day that I can only have 100 different pages on my website and I already have 50. So that's something that I have to keep an eye on. Go figure. If you're a Wix user, now you know. Okay, so the course creation process is obviously the biggest bulk of the work. Like that was a lot. I worked on this for months. And I think that that was part of the problem. And I think I actually mentioned this later, but I felt like this course took literally forever to do. But that was only because I actually started the course a year ago. And I don't just mean like 2023. I actually started working on the course in like November, December of 2022. And I was hoping to launch it in January of 2023. And then, I kind of had a baby and things got distracted. And then I decided I didn't want to do that for a little while. And then I came back to the project in the summer and I was really lit up about it again. And I worked on it a little bit then, drafted some of the script stuff. And again, life happened and I got busy. And then I put it off again. And then I was going to launch it for Black Friday of 2023. And then pregnancy fatigue hit. And that was not happening like at all. So then I was going to launch it in January and the pregnancy fatigue continued. So I finally launched it in February. So it was long haul, guys. It was like I had the idea a long time ago and started working on it. So this course took more than a year, quote unquote, to bring it to fruition, even though I didn't work on it the entire time, but it felt like I was working on it because it was always in the back of my mind about something that I just needed to get done. I knew I had to create this because there was value in it and people needed it. It was just a case of it wasn't good timing. And I just needed to take a break from it for a little while in the summer because I needed a break. I was burnt out. I was real burnt out. I digress. So aside from the fact that it felt like it took me forever, I really didn't get serious about working on it again until December, January. And that was when I hired the people to help me with the paid Facebook ads to kind of start the ball rolling on that. I knew that the marketing piece would take a while. And throughout that process, they actually have what they call marketing office hours. So basically you show up and you get help and feedback on things. Oh my goodness, beautiful. I love it. It's something that I would like to offer for people too who need help with social media, but I'm not there yet. But that was part of the membership fee that I paid for the services that they provide. So they were the ones that were telling me, okay, well, not only do you need a sales page or a landing page for your freebies and stuff, which I knew already, they're like, oh, you need confirmation pages and this is why, and this is what you put on them. And this is how it supports the overall goal. And I was like, man, I did not know that, but that makes so much sense, which is again, why there were a bazillion different pages for things. So I learned a lot through that process. And it took time. It took a lot of time to put all of that together, building 13 web pages and writing 49 emails, time consuming, in addition to having children and then client work and all those things that I was juggling. So that was part of the reason too why my client roster scaled back in January, because I realized that when I got serious about picking a launch date, I knew that I needed the time and the space in my calendar to make that happen. And I have that time in my space in my calendar still to work on an email marketing course next, because I hadn't pre-booked clients for after the course because I wasn't sure, at least for the next 2 weeks, I wasn't sure how much buffer I would need to be available for the people going through the course. So I was like, well, I'm here, I'm not doing anything. So let's just work on another one. Why not? But the next thing that I want to talk about is what the budget or the total cost was for the project. So I didn't have a budget. I had no idea how much it was going to cost to do this. Had I known how much it would cost, I might have thought twice about it. Just gonna preface with that. So the breakdown, the majority of the cost was actually hiring the ads company to help me. That was almost $3,500. So it was a lot. It was not an inexpensive investment in my business, but I knew that not only did I need help with trying out Facebook advertising. By the way, this does not include the cost to actually run the ads. That's a separate line. I'll share that in a second. But I wanted to kind of learn about Facebook advertising to test the waters and see whether that was a service that I'd like to offer, because I've had a lot of people ask me about it and ask if it's something that I offer. And I was just like, no, I don't know anything about it. So I was like, well, might as well learn from some experts. And in learning from those experts, I've decided that I don't think that it's a service that I want to offer, at least not right now. So that was $3,500. So you can already see that this comes with pretty big dollar signs. And if you remember how many people I told you registered and you've done some mental math with the course price, you know that this course did not make me money. It cost me money. But let's continue. So we have the service providers at $3,500. The next biggest expense was the actual advertising. And unfortunately, I'm temporarily locked out of Facebook thanks to the glitch that it had the other day. Not super jazzed about that. Waiting for them to verify my video identity. So I can't pull the exact numbers, but I think it was around $1,400 or $1,500. So not inexpensive to help with the email growth. And like some of that was people for the checklist, and then some of it was people for the masterclass. So there were a couple components of that. Like I've been running Facebook ads for almost 3 months now. So I think I've spent more than $1,400 on it, but there were some other things that I was promoting too. But if you guys remember from my post the other day, 37 registrations for my course came from the paid ads. And then a lot came from the checklist. A lot of the 250 people that have been added to my list since January were from the checklist. So I included both of them because they're kind of related to the course. That was the freebie to get people interested in the course topic. So $1,400 there, give or take. I also spent $60 advertising on Eventbrite. That's probably something that I wouldn't do again. I actually got decent organic traffic from Eventbrite, and I was like, oh, okay, well, let's throw some money at it and see what happens. And the registration number stayed pretty consistent after I gave them $60. So I probably wouldn't give them $60 again in the future for like the maybe 1 or 2 extra people that it got. Just some food for thought for you. I also had system expenses that I needed to cover. So I had to spend $41.40 on Zapier so that when people registered in Eventbrite or on my website, they got added to my email provider so that they would get the emails about the live masterclasses and all of those wonderful things. So that was more than I was expecting. That was a very expensive expense in the sense that you wouldn't think that like the bare minimum membership price for that would be $40 a month. At least I didn't think that. And then I also had to add some extra email credits to my account this month because of the volume of emails that I was sending. Remember how I said I wrote 49 of them? Well, that means that 49 emails were sent to multiple people throughout the month. So that was a lot of emails. Over 7,500. Yeah, a lot of emails. But that's a good thing. I mean, like I'm trying to like frame it as like that's a good thing because it means my email list is growing. But that was another almost $28 there. So in total, I spent, again, give or take a little bit of ad spend, $4,992.18. So we're gonna round up $7 and change and say this course cost me $5,000. Cost me $5,000 to run my course. So again, revisiting the 8 people registered at $197, meaning my gross revenue was $1,576. So did this course make me money? No, it did not. I am negative $3,416.18. And that is not including any time that I put into this course, because as you can see, I did not actually pay myself for this. It was just covering expenses, and we didn't even do that. That being said, would I do it all over again? Yes, obviously. I'm running another course. I'm in the works of preparing for that. Because what I love about courses is that eventually it'll be evergreen, meaning that you can register whenever, but for now I'm going to keep doing live launches. But theoretically, there should be minimal changes and adjustments that need to be made. And I'm basically just copying, pasting the info into a future point in time for people that are new to my list or people that weren't available last time, didn't understand, etc., etc. So I'm hoping that the costs will be lower in the future, at least in the sense that I won't have to invest much of my time to get it ready. And then as my list continues to grow, hopefully I will get more registrations. Wouldn't it be awesome if next time I launched, I got between 15 and 30 people? How cool. But we'll see what my email list size is before I set goals. But yeah, so those were like the numbers. That's probably the most important thing that you guys are interested in. I do have a couple other things that I want to mention in like what I considered my debrief process, if you want to stick around and listen to that. So the next section I kind of did was a what went well, what didn't go well. Excuse me. What would I do in the future? And then within that process, I tried to look at it from all aspects of the course. And I'm not always good at thinking about these things. I kind of have like, I don't know, memory amnesia. It's like a thing with pregnancy. You don't remember the painful delivery process. You don't remember the painful hours and hours of course creation process. So I looked at things like registration and sales, tech and integration, marketing and like social media promotion, email writing, all of those things. And then this is kind of what I synthesized from that. So things that I thought went well or successes that I considered to have from the course. People registered for the course and the masterclass, and some of them actually registered during the live launch, like while I was on the webinar. So I was like, yes, this is awesome. We're celebrating that victory. I also exceeded my registration like conversion rate percent. Remember the 5% we were aiming for? I got 6.67, so that was a success. Something else that I deemed went really well was the personal messages that I sent to people on Instagram. Those really drove up my sign up and conversion rates for the masterclass and also gave me a lot of insight about the course. I messaged some people individually after that I thought the course would be a great fit for. Some of them actually registered after our conversation. Some of them told me, no, it's not the right time, or it's too expensive, or I'm just not interested, which was fabulous feedback for me that I'll then use to market the course better, hopefully, in the future. Automated emails were a blessing. They didn't necessarily convert as well as I thought they would. Maybe that was because I was already talking to people on social media, but it was just nice to have that peace of mind that if I got busy doing things and like life happens, they were going out on their own and they were promoting the course and I didn't have to like worry about being in my email system all the time. It was just done, which is why I love email marketing and why I'm creating an email marketing course, wink, wink. Also successes, the masterclass was a huge hit. I got so much positive feedback and it really grew my list. Like I said, 250 people in about 6 weeks. And again, not all of those masterclass, but sort of. Another thing that I thought was a good success was Thinkific was really easy to set up and use. That's the course platform that I was working with. I think it has a really professional feel and there were a lot of options for the things that I wanted to do, which was really great. I may or may not continue using the platform. The only reason I may not is because it is quite expensive and they only let you host one course on their platform for free and then you have to pay for it. So I might explore my options. But overall, if you're looking to just kind of do a one-off course thing, Thinkific is a good way to go. Things that didn't go as well as I would have liked. Tech and integration, so annoying. Oh my goodness. I thought Grayson was going to like pack the kids up and leave me while I was prepping some of the course process because I was just so frustrated all the time. I felt like I spent probably 5 full work days on tech support with a bazillion different people trying to make everything talk to each other so that it worked the way that I wanted it to. It was very time consuming, did not enjoy that. But now that I've gone through the process, I know how to do it all. So it'll be easier to do it again in the future. So I'm trying to think about that as the silver lining. This was a teachable moment. It was a very frustrating teachable moment, but now I know. I had issues with the people that registered in my course getting into the Facebook group. Facebook settings and I did not get along. Again, that's kind of tech related and integration related. So that I want to kind of fix and tweak the next time, and hopefully it will be a more seamless transition process for the people that register for the course. Another thing that I wasn't expecting was the high cost per lead for the Facebook ads. I thought that master classes would have a lower cost than the freebie because to me it's more valuable, but it did not. So again, there's a lot of things. I still have to talk to the marketing team that I hired for that and kind of do a little bit of a debrief with them to ask why that was, but they do say that master classes tend to have a higher cost. So had I known that, I probably would have spent more time and put more budget towards the free resource and then got the people on my email list and then just told them about the masterclass through my email list rather than using Facebook ads to promote the masterclass, if that makes any sense. So we'll see. Also, some of the organic content that I posted on social media did better for the Facebook advertising. Not saying that it outperformed in terms of reach or conversion, it did not, but I did put some of my organic content into the paid ads things that they set up. and they had higher conversion rates in the paid ads than some of the paid ad collateral that the team created for me. And not to speak badly of the team, like that was not on them. That was just Brittany wants to play with things. So I'll continue to play with things because a lot of what they created was static content, AKA graphics, and what I was creating was video. So I'd love to kind of see how that goes in the future if the video content does perform better for Facebook ads too, because that's not been their experience. So just like lots of learning things. Something else, sharing only a portion of my screen during a masterclass, not ideal. It made the slides blurry and hard to read. Did not like that. Thank you to the person who shared that feedback with me live during the class. I appreciated that personal message so that I knew, because I can't see what you see until the recording. And at that point, it's too late. So we will be getting a second screen anytime I need to do masterclass recordings for things like that so that the slides are not blurry for those attending. Zoom also has the video covering the slides during the recording, which was annoying, and I had to have Grayson edit it out, which for the record, you can't actually edit out. So don't send it to an editor and think that they're going to be able to fix that. The solution to that was to pull the audio from the recording and then basically just put the slides from Canva over the audio. So you have to be really committed and love the person you're helping to do that, because it's super tedious work. So thank you, Grayson. But just things that I didn't know and didn't think of. But if you are planning on using Zoom to record and then send the replay out after, either make sure there's dedicated space on the right-hand side of your slides where there's no information, so the video is covering nothing, or like find a different solution, because it's gonna happen. Communication was not super clear about the difference between the masterclass and the course, was some feedback that I got from a couple people. Really great feedback for me to know. I'll have to work on that for next time. Also, I was super sick for the masterclass. It was like literally on the verge of passing out because I felt like I couldn't breathe because I was talking, but my nose was clogged and my throat was phlegmy, and I was like, this is not great. But when you're the only person in your business, do you cancel a live masterclass that 120 people have registered for? No, you don't want to do that. You don't really want to reschedule it. So you power through. But in the future, I would probably pre-record the masterclass in the event that if I really, really could not do it, then I could just like play the recording through the live. It is not ideal. I don't ever want to have to do that. But if push came to shove, that is an option. So something for you to consider too. I also built a thank you page for after people registered for the free masterclass, which I realized 2 days ago never actually got linked, so no one saw it. So that's cool. Double check all your linking, people. Video editing, like I mentioned, was a giant pain in the ass. Conversion for my email rates for my email list was a little bit lower than I liked, but like I said, I think that was because I was already talking to a lot of those people on social media already. I pretty much had a mental list in my head before I even launched the masterclass about who I really wanted to attend, because I knew they would get a lot of value out of it. And then afterwards, I sent the replay link out to quite a few people who kind of didn't get my messages in time. And there were a lot of those, like a surprising number. I should write that down. That's good feedback too. And then kind of the last thing here is I didn't get very many people to sign up for the VIP option. I'm not really sure why. I'll talk to people about that later. I don't know whether they just didn't feel that it was valuable or if it was just too expensive. So I need to solicit some more feedback for that. But overall, those were some things that I did not think went super well. And then here are some things that I would change for next time. So again, changing the Facebook group settings. We already talked about testing out some new Facebook ad collateral, needing a second screen for the masterclass, and really trying to differentiate between the masterclass and the course. Not being sick for the next launch. Can I write that down as something to change for next time? I don't really know that I have any control over that. I also want to block more time to actually send those personal messages and follow up with people who are following me on Instagram, because it, like before the masterclass and then also during the cart period, because it was just so great to have those personal connections with people and get their feedback. I want to be able to do more of that. I would also like to prep more story content in advance that can be shared during the launch period. So like I said, I did a story series. I did a frequently asked questions post, and those weren't like actually on my radar of things that I wanted to do until like the day of. And I was like, oh, I should do that. Why didn't I think of that? 'Cause there were just so many things that I was thinking about. A lot of things probably fell through the cracks. So I like having these debrief notes to know that, so that when I go to launch the course the next time, I already have that collateral created. But when I create a new course, be like, oh, okay, well, here were things that I wish that I had. So let's put them in place now. Also, yeah, testing the registration process, making sure the links are working. That's, should be a no-brainer, but somehow I missed that. We probably need to find some new video editing software because that did not go well. Also probably would restructure the VIP package and maybe offer some done for you work with it, but then that would probably come with a higher price point. So I need to find out why people weren't interested in that first before I make any adjustments. Or maybe I need to choose a lower price point and then offer less in it. I would also consider closing the cart earlier in the day because I was so exhausted that day. Like course was open, like available until midnight that night, and I think I fell asleep at 7:30. So it's a good thing that no one emailed me needing support with anything because they wouldn't have got it. I was asleep. So I'd probably choose like an afternoon close time, like around 5-6 p.m. maybe, and then just adjust the length of the cart open if I felt that I needed a few extra hours on a different day. And I don't know if I would like to run the open cart period over the weekend because I don't really like working weekends, and I think a lot of people take weekends off. So I might just consider like a Monday to Friday or like a Tuesday to Friday or a Monday to Thursday. Shorter cart period means that I have to be less on all of the time. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll try things out. And then next time I'd probably consider doing a live Q&A on Instagram. The only reason I didn't do it this time was because I love you guys, but you're not always great at asking me questions, which I think is really odd because I love them. I don't know how many more ways I can tell you that, but when you have questions, it helps me know what kind of content to create, because if you're not sure about something, chances are somebody else is also not sure about that same thing. So just like a general, if you're listening and you have questions, like not about my course, but like social media in general, please send them my way and I will create a social media post and also give you a personal answer for that question. So another question that I need to ask is, why did people actually register for the course? What was it about it that drew them in? So I have a feedback survey for the people that registered, and I will send that out, but I'm waiting for them to kind of go a little bit further through the course process because I also want to ask about their feedback on the actual course, and I don't want to send out 2 surveys. So you also have to ask, like I did, why people didn't register. So a lot of the Instagram messages that I sent out, people were giving me feedback on that, which was really helpful. And then considering a best practice is to send an email out to your email list and, thank them for sticking around. And then also ask if they can share their feedback about why they didn't register for whatever, or didn't purchase blank product. Sorry, I sent one out after the course that I launched last spring. And then I think I did one again after my Black Friday promo too, just to solicit feedback from people. And I'm so grateful to the people that fill this out because it's like so insightful for me. So some of the answers that I got, as you would imagine, a lot of people said that it was too expensive, which I respect. And I'm actually really working hard in my business this year to put some lower ticket options in place for the people that just aren't there but still need support. I actually have resources up on the shop on my website, but I don't talk about them. I've been so busy doing course stuff that I haven't told people they're there, but they are. Go check them out. They're like all under $30, I think. And there's 3 of them in total. And I have another one that I'm hoping to get up by the end of the year. We'll see. So they're a great starting point for you guys if you need some support, but you don't have a huge budget. So too expensive was a big one. Not a good time was another one, meaning that they were just too busy right now. So that was fabulous for me to see that there were other people that were really interested in the course, just not now. So that gives me confidence that when I launch it again, the course is going to see equally as many, hopefully, if not more registrations. One person answered that they didn't understand the value or still had questions, which is beautiful for me to know. Obviously, the frequently asked questions that I was sharing is not enough, and there's more out there. So I want to try and figure out, and I intentionally made the survey anonymous, so I don't know who it is. I can't ask them. So if you're listening, can you send me a message and let me know? That'd be swell. Because I wanted people's feedback. So I didn't want you to have to enter your information there. But now it's like, okay, well, what questions did they have? What can I do to better communicate this? A couple of people told me that they had other courses that they hadn't completed and they didn't want to invest in anything else. I respect that. That was actually one of the reasons why I chose to run a Facebook group with this launch, because I want people to actually finish it. And when I'm in your Facebook feed every day going, this is what we're doing. Do you have questions? Can I help you? I'm hoping that people will actually finish the course. And so far, so good. People have been following along and asking for feedback on the course topics for the day. So I'm really excited to see that. And I'm happy that people are actually implementing what I'm sharing in the course so that they get results, because that's what I want more than anything. Yes, I need to make money to support my family, but I could make money in literally a bazillion different ways. And I chose this way because this is how I want to help people. And then one person said that they didn't hear about it time. One person also actually registered for the course and still filled out the survey. So to whoever that was, thank you so much for being absolutely amazing at giving feedback. And then I also took a look at where people came from in terms of registrations. So like what marketing avenues worked for this. This was actually a little harder to pinpoint than I expected. But basically a couple people came from my existing connections. One person found me on Google and actually booked a coaching service with me first and then registered for the course after. So that was kind of cool. One person was an Instagram connection. 3 people came from what I consider networking. So 2 from a group that I'm a part of, and then 1 from like an actual networking community. So sort of the same thing, but 2 different communities. 2 different communities. And then 1 person came from Facebook ads. So you would think after all of the money I spent on Facebook advertising that more of the people would have registered from there. And I mean, obviously, like that's the hope, but also it's not, because the expectation is those people that are new to my list have only been on my list for like a couple of weeks and they don't really know me from a hole in the ground. So unless they showed up to the live masterclass, which I believe this person did, they haven't created that connection with me and they need to be on my list longer. So although I wanted those people on my list to hopefully register this time, I'm truthfully not expecting to see that until the next course launch or potentially even the one after that. After they've been on my list for a while, I've been talking about my podcast episodes, sharing more information and value with them. And they're like, okay, you know, I trust this person. I really think that there's going to be value in this. I'm ready to kind of make that investment. It's a long-term strategy, a long-term strategy that has a really high budget. So cross your fingers for me. I'll keep you posted on how that goes the next time, but I anticipate with the next launch of this course, not the other course that I'm running, but when I relaunch Profile to Profit, that more people will come from what I consider the Facebook ads category. So stay tuned. And a couple other questions that I asked myself, but that I couldn't really get insights on this time, which gives me more information about like the knowledge gap of what I need to pay more attention to next time, is where are these people located? And I wanted to know that mainly for tax purposes, because this time the way that I set it up through my CRM doesn't auto tax people. So the people that registered actually for my course not only got a discount on the course price, but they also didn't pay tax. I kind of ate that myself because I couldn't do it manually. So I'm curious to know where people are coming from, whether they're mostly Canadian or if a lot of them are coming from the States, so that I know whether I need a system that will auto charge tax or whether I can just kind of like flat out roll it out the 13% HST and then it'll be okay for most people. Like I don't want to charge people tax that don't need to pay it, but also like that impacts my revenue too. Again, my non-existent revenue from this course. And also taking a look at the best and worst launch days. I tried to do this, but again, it was my first launch, so I didn't really get a lot of insight, but open cart day was my best day. And then the weekends was not fabulous. Kind of had some meh action, like they were okay, but not super high. It was kind of like a trickle on the fast action bonus ending day. And then also on cart close day. And then I actually did have 2 registrations that came in after the cart close period, which I probably wouldn't do in the future, but I made an exception this time because one of them was my coaching client, and I knew that I wasn't going to see her until the day after cart closed, and I didn't want to bother her when I was going to see her 48 hours later. Um, so that one was fine. And then the other person, I don't know if you guys saw my stories a couple days ago, I was sharing that I found out my email provider wasn't actually sending my emails to a very large portion of my email list, actually. So in that case, she was the person that shared that she wasn't actually getting my emails and helped me discover that. So I was like, well, since you missed literally all of the communications about this course, yes, I'm happy to allow you to enroll still. So yeah, so 8 people in total. Hard to, like I said, kind of pinpoint because I mean, 8 is a fabulous number. I'm super excited about it. But the course was open for or the cart was open rather for 7 days. So there wasn't a lot of volume to see which days work best, or even how long would be a good open cart period for something like this is something else that I'm kind of curious to know too. And I'll keep tabs on in my future launches. And then I would like to pull some more insights from my Facebook ads about, what Facebook ad performed the best. I've already looked at my social media insights. I just didn't want to really talk about it here because no one pays that much attention to the content I'm posting, but seeing which posts performed the best, which ones did not perform well that I can maybe adjust in the future to get better organic results from. I also took a look at what emails performed really well, what ones had really high unsubscribe rates, and click-through rates, and I checked all of that. And then I would also like to see the click-through rate and the conversion rate for my Facebook ads. But again, I'm locked out. So some of my debrief is going to have to wait until Facebook decides that they want to confirm that it's me. So I believe this is probably a little bit longer of an episode than I had anticipated. I don't remember when I started recording, but I think it's been a while. So thank you if you're still listening to this. I really hope that you found this useful. If you liked the questions that I kind of ask here, send me a message and I can write them down for you and share that, because it'll save you the 3 hours. I'd have to check Toggle, but I think it was 3 hours that I went down what questions do I debrief rabbit hole the other day while I was doing this. So we'll save you those 3 hours. But this to me was very insightful, and I would love to do this process again for any future courses that I run. I would probably do a mini version of this too, honestly, when I have promotions that are happening. So Black Friday, or if I'm running an email campaign, something like that. I think that this could be really helpful, because as much as I'm oh, remember, I don't remember. I really don't. So this is kind of my foolproof way of proofing my business. That was not good wording, but you know what I mean. So I typed it all out in a Google Doc, and I saved it in the folder where I've got all of my other course stuff. And then before I launch Profile the Profit next time, I'll probably just pull this up and be like, okay, what am I changing? I'm also starting to really work this year on writing out processes and procedures, and I'm not good at this. I forget to do it. I'm I don't need to. I did really well when I was onboarding Hallie into my business. And then I was trying to document everything to make it easier for her so she'd have all the information she needed. And then slowly I got away from that because it was very time consuming. But I'm trying to make a note, even if I'm not writing out the full process of doing things, just making a list of all the things to do for a course launch, because like we discussed, it's a pretty long list. And it's all of the things you don't think about. So for the most part, you'll remember to set up your website pages and build your emails and create your social media content. But it's all of the little things that are completely gone in my mind, going back after the course is done and changing the sales page back to saying waitlist so that people can join the waitlist, and relinking the correct waitlist pages, and then adjusting all of the information on the waitlist pages so that it doesn't have dates and all those things. Actually, before I started this podcast, I recorded a couple video clips for my website to go up on those pages now, welcoming people to the waitlist instead of the actual course. And simple things like going back and updating your Instagram bio, because I changed mine to promote the masterclass. So you have to undo all of the work that you've done, which is disheartening because there's a lot that goes into it and it's very time consuming. So just like making a list of all of those little tedious things that you don't think about, and like changing your sequences in your email platform so that people are not going, congratulations, you registered for Profile of Profit, instead of, oh, you're on the wait list. So there was a lot more there than I realized as well. And I didn't even include any of that in here. I probably should make some notes about that on my debrief questionnaire, but yeah, it's a lot. It's fun. It's exciting. It's challenging. I learned a lot. I grew a lot throughout this process, but it's a lot. But bottom line, debrief. And these questions will help you. So I'm going to stop talking now because I'm rambling. But thank you guys for listening, and I will see you next week on the Go Get Great podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in to Go Get Great. I hope you found some useful tips and tricks that can help you make life and business work together. If what I said resonates with you, please share it on social media, and don't forget to tag at Brittany Miller's socials so that I can celebrate you for taking those first steps towards achieving greatness. Remember, success doesn't happen overnight. It takes dedication, hard work, and a lot of spirit. So don't be afraid to dream big and go after what you want. Keep striving for greatness. You get closer with every step forward, no matter how small they may seem. Until next time, go get great.